Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Holla Black podcast, where we have a desire to build community and mindset through conversation and results. Please share, like, and subscribe to this podcast and join us weekly as we continue to be brave leaders that are accountable to communicating knowledge to the world, one episode and action at a time. Well, this is your favorite host and MC, Ronell Blackman, here once again, just diving into how we can be better, talking about brave leaders that are accountable to communicating knowledge and building up our community. Now, for those who don't know me, I am a national motivational speaker and trainer around mindset and goals. I also host and MC live events from nonprofit fundraisers to athletic events to facilitating corporate meetings and trainings as well. I'm a husband and father of two that truly believes it is my purpose to share the love that I have for community and people to help others become better each and every single day. So let's dive into the latest Holla Black podcast episode right here, right now. Well, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Man, what an experience. What a motivation, what a aspiration I have to continue on with this podcast. So today's podcast, we're going to talk about effective ways to communicate with your partner. Ooh, yeah. We're getting into some relationship conversations. Yes, we talk about conversations that build community, as you've seen, right? And one of our staples with Holla Black, right? Brave leaders accountable to communicating knowledge is communication, right? So communicate, right? So when we're talking about to effectively communicate to your partner, there are some things that you should think of, right? So one of the quotes that come to mind is, even when it's uncomfortable or uneasy, one of the best ways to heal is simply getting everything out. And if you live bitterly, you live a lonely existence. Ooh, think about that. Think about that real quick, right? Even when it's uncomfortable or uneasy, right? One of the best ways to heal is simply just getting it out, right? Getting everything out. And if you hold those things in, right? Live bitterly, right? Live with rejection, live with frustration, live with the anger towards an individual. You live a lonely existence, right? So in synopsis or, just simple forms, right? Just be real and allow others to be honest and real with you. Ooh, you hear that second part? Allow others to be honest and real with you. That's tough. That's tough. I know a lot of people that talk about, hey, I'm the realest person you ever know. I'm 1,000% real. That's how real but like, don't allow for anybody to be real to you. So let's think about that. Let's think about that quote and let's dive in. I want to give a huge shout out to Shop Confidence, one of our sponsors for today's podcast. Let's listen to a quick commercial. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Fashion with a Purpose. That's Confidence Apparel, fashion designed to empower, inspire, and educate. Check them out on Instagram at shop.confidence and live in your confidence. You can also find them online at www.shop-confidence.com, where you can subscribe and save by simply joining their mailing list and be the first to know about new products, local events, and special promotions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, also, I want to let you know that I do believe that we have a discount code. I'll make sure to put that in the notes. So please check it out. Check out the website, check out the gear. They help me brand and work with all of my gear as well. So as we get started today, I want to dive straight in, right? Went online, did some research and looked for some IAMs around communication, IAMs around relationships. And these are 5 that I came up with that this week I want you to pull apart each and every single one, right? And just really think hard, right? Really chew on them, really dive deep into each. So number 1, I am the decision maker of what I want. Did you hear that? I am the decision maker of what I want. Number 2, I visualize the relationship I want. Do you have a visualization? Do you have an image? Do you know what you want, right? You've probably seen what you didn't want, right? But do you have an image? Do you have imagery of what you do want? That's the thought. Even if it's pulling small pieces from different individuals, that might be what you want, but it's what you want. Stay with that, all right? I am, number 3, I am the person that deserves the relationship I want. Ooh. You are the person. You deserve it, right? You deserve to be in the very absolute best relationship that you could ever be in. So why not do it? Why not make the conscious decisions, right, to manifest in yourself and say, hey, I am the person that deserves, you deserve it. I deserve it. The relationship that I want. It's a two-way street. We'll dive into that a little bit later. And then number 4, I am in control of my actions and no one else is. Ooh, I love this one. I talk to so many different couples about it. I say, hey, only person that you can control is you. You're in control of your actions. You're in control of your comments. You're in control of your reactions. You're in control of so much that you don't even take into account, right? How much taking accountability, right? You don't even take into account what all, right, that you are in control of. So understand that. Pump your chest up. Be in control of all the things, your actions, right? And no one else. You can't control somebody else. You can't control another person, right? And then number 5, I surrender. I know that just rubbed a bunch of people wrong, right? I surrender. Listen to the rest, right? To what's best for me. The pros will outweigh the cons. Think about that. The pros will outweigh the cons. If you have a list of pros, you have a list of cons, you're thinking through like, hey, which one do I, if I move forward with this person, if I move forward with this job, if I move forward with this relationship, right? Like, what are the pros and cons? How do they outweigh? The pros must outweigh the cons, right? And you have to surrender yourself to what you want, right? To those pros. You can't take one con that might supersede all pros, right? You can't take that person. You can't take that individual, or else you know exactly what you're going to get. And guess what? Who's in control? Yes, you are. So take those IMs, dive into them, chew on those like for the week, right? And just really enjoy some of the things that that comes about, right? Whether it be in conversations, use those, ask other people, have they ever thought about it? And a lot of times I just posted this on social media talking about like 90% of people that write things down, right? What they want, their goals, right? Actually achieve them. So make sure you write those down. All right. So let's dive straight into this podcast, right? So this podcast episode, again, effective ways to communicate with your partner. I like to just say, hey, talk better, right? Have good conversation. Enjoy the individual that you have decided to be with. Okay. So there's some habits that I want to, just kind of share with you all. I grabbed some of these through just again, doing so much research, reading, just some different experiences, right? Different conversations with other people. And I kind of narrowed them down to these 5, maybe 6. So just check them out. Tell me what you think about them, right? Make sure to comment, make sure to message me back, right? Or whichever it might be in order to help out. But first off, 5 lacking comments, right? We start with the negative, get those out the way, right? And then end with the positives, right? How can we effectively move forward? So first up, 5 lacking habits, right? I call them lack. Like let's think about what an individual might be lacking, or yourself, right? Take accountability as well, right? So in a relationship, when you're communicating, right? Some people lack self-control and response. It's just the outward expression. It might be their body language. It might be their resting face. I didn't say what you thought I was going to say, right? But that face, right? Those facial expressions, they may tell a lot to the individual that's communicating to you, right? So that's a lacking habit. That's an area that you may want to just take a look in the mirror, or assess even with the people around you, the people that are in your close circle, the people that love you, that want to see you in successful relationships, right? Self-assess and just ask them like, hey, like, what is my body language like? Is it presenting? Is it encouraging? Is it inviting? Or is it like more pushing, off that individual, right? Especially if we're talking about effectively communication, right? I always say this, you don't have to, matter of fact, this is where the year started with the podcast, right? Oh, I don't want to get anybody not like me, or anybody not want to follow me. It's like, hey, why do I care so much, right? Why am I over caring? Why am I thinking about, like, it's not people pleasing, but it's being pleasing to people. Ooh, yeah, that's it. You don't have to be a people pleaser, but you should be pleasing to people. You should present well, right? in everything that you do. Everything is about sales. So think about that, right? So that's the first lack of self-control and response. Number two, lack of follow through. Man, I have struggled with this in the past myself. Okay. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, be completely transparent. I have struggled with a lack of follow through in the past, right? Just my actions weren't meeting up to my vision, but that's where my vision, I was too focused on the 10-year from now plan and not focused enough in the strategy in the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 3-year plan, right? But I was just seeing, the 10-year plan. And I'm like, that's where I want to go. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm emptying everything out to get there. But it's like, hold on. I got to make some good decisions on the way there, right? So lacking habits, right? Lack of follow through, even in the conversations, right? Hey, babe, let's go out. Oh man, something came up. Or hey, let's have a conversation. Let's sit down and talk. Let's go out to eat. Let's, watch a movie. Let's do these, whatever it might be within a relationship, and then don't show up. Ooh, that's a bad habit. That's a bad habit. That's taking away some trust right there. Ooh, trust is a factor. Trust is key in a relationship. You want people to trust you. So you should be making sure that you are trustworthy to them. So follow up through your actions, right? So do not lack, or there's a lack in follow through. So number two, overtalk. Overtalk with fixing problems. Man, we got it. We got it. We got it. Moms, you got it too, right? You're the ultimate problem solver. You're listening, but you're thinking about how to solve this problem. Overtalk, right? Person might be just sharing just to get it out. I once heard a conversation, and there was some advice that was given. It was just like, hey, is this a vent session, or do you want me to actually fix this? Right. So one person talking to the other, hey, are you just venting to me about your job? Are you just venting to me about the relationship? Are you just venting to me about, how you feel about a certain individual or whatever? Or would you like for me to actually help you solve the problem? Let's start off there, right? But actively listening will allow you to do that. So the lack of listening, so to speak. But we'll come back to that because that's another one, right? That's another habit that people have. But overtalk, right? So overtalking with fixing problems, problem solver, all you're thinking about is, fixing the problem, right? Number four, and I kind of combined 4 and 5, which is why it became 5 and not 6. But like number 4, lack of empathy. Think about that for a second. Lack of empathy. That's a habit. Lack of empathy. Like everyone is different and forever changing. You are different and forever changing. Everyone is not built the same way, which is why the relationships work, right? You're built alike, but not the exact same way. There's values, there's pros, there's things that, you help this other person climb towards, or they help you climb towards, right? That's the reason why we're together. We're not together if like I only give and don't receive anything, right? So just lack of empathy, right? Everyone is different, forever changing. So you got to understand that everyone may not be on the mental same level, right? Or mental desirable same level. That's another thing when those pros and cons come down with thinking through like, hey, is this the right person for me? So again, lack of empathy. But then this is where I tied them into, right? Lack of listening, concerning yourself with what they have to say, right? So are you concerning yourself? Are you listening? Are you saying, hey, this individual, they're sharing this, like, am I here to fix it, or am I here to just listen, right? Am I concerning myself with what they have going on? Or am I just ready to talk? I've had so many conversations, so many people, right? So many, even some friends of mine, right? Close circles that just are just ready to talk. Like, it's like, hey, bro, are you taking the time? Lady, are you taking the time to listen? Like, just hold on real quick. You probably do have the solution to the problem. But what I'm asking you right now is just to listen to me, hear me out, right? And hear and understand who I am and what I'm going through based on where I am in life. Right? I may not be where you are in life. Like, you can give me some good, solid advice probably, or you can help me navigate through this situation, especially if we're in a relationship, because we're both affected by it. But that does not mean that you stop listening to start thinking about, matter of fact, okay, very difficult to listen and think. This is funny. It's funny that I say this, right? Listen and think about what you're going to say and still effectively listen. to this individual? Like communication effective. If we're talking about effective communication, right? Am I hearing exactly what you're saying, how you're saying it, right? So there's another lack, right? Lack of listening. And then lastly, but definitely not least, the lack of perceived value or added value to the relationship, right? There's habits there, right? There's habits where some people just might not value as much and might not show it as much with the value that that other person adds to the relationship, to them, to, that's why I say perceived value, right? The lack of perceived value, because there's so many different things, and we'll get into, the effective ways to communicate, right? Be a great communicator in your relationship. But like, there's just so many things that another person perceives that if you're not sharing with them the value, right? If you lack showing value, if you lack giving value, if they lack value in the relationship, then that's a habit. That's actually a recipe for a disastrous relationship, right? If they're not adding value to you, then there can easily be a point to where, it's just not fun anymore, just not, into it anymore, or my love faded away, or, like you always should be chasing. My mother-in-law, she told me this when we first got married. She was like, hey, constantly chase each other, right? Chase each other to, make each other better, but then also like show and share to each other that you love and that you care deeply for this individual. All right. So those are the 5 lacking habits. Once again, lack of self-control and response, lack of follow-through actions, over talk with fixing problems, lack of empathy, lack of listening, and lack of perceived value. All right, so let's go. So doing my research, right? Typing, I'm Googling, I'm GTSing it, right? Like, so I'm over here looking up, boom, 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 conversations, effective ways to communicate, right? I know where I believe and I know how I would intertwine them, but like, what do the experts say, right? If I'm going to be an expert, what knowledge am I gaining? What have I read, right? And one of the things I came across was a good one. It was called Couple Talk, right? A new experience in couples communication. So I'll make sure to put the link down in the description as well of this podcast. But they talked about 5 ways to be effective in communication. 5 ways to be effective in communication. And we're specifically speaking towards the relationships, right? Number one. Ooh, this is accountability. This is brave. This is Holla Black. You see it, baby. You hear it. BLACK, right? Brave leaders, accountable. That's the number 1, right? Listen to yourself. Number 1, listen to yourself, right? 5 ways to be effective in communication. Number 1, listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. It might not be what you said, but it may possibly be how you said it. Ooh. It may not be what you said, but how you said it, right? If you say something in a demonstrative way, in a negative manner, if you say something or it's perceived that way, right? Because it's perception. It's perception. Perception is reality for that individual. Perception is reality for that individual. So listen to yourself, right? Number 1, 5 ways to be effective in communication. Number 1 is listen to yourself. Be accountable for what you say and how you say it. Number 2, become a safe listener. What does that mean? Become a safe listener. I had to learn this myself, like through my own experience. I had to learn this, right? To become a safe listener. That means number 1, removing distractions. Like put the phone down, boop, like I'm all in. Sit up. If you're laying in bed, sit up, right? Eye to eye contact. Don't allow for the TV to distract you. Don't allow for, this person, that person, other conversations to distract you, right? Become a safe listener. Remove those distractions. Put the phone down. Put the kids to bed. And that's specifically if you're putting them kids to bed in order to have some conversations, because putting the kids late to bed, then you might be sleepy, and that may be a recipe for disaster as well. All right. So become a safe listener. Another portion of that would be just showing respect to your partner's point of view, right? So as a safe listener, just respecting their point of view. You don't have to judge them. You don't have to control them. You don't have to think through like, how are they thinking this and other? Just listen. Just listen. Just be like, huh, really? Okay. Like, just take it in. And then show with your body that you're listening. That's how you're a safe listener, right? When I put the phone down, when I'm not looking at TV, when I'm not reading something, I'm showing them that I'm being a safe listener, that I'm taking into account what they have to say. Number 2, or should I say number three? Sorry, number three. Show that you listen with empathy. Right. Got to check my notes out because this is serious. I want to make sure that we hit these points. Right. So show that you listen with empathy. Show that you listen with empathy. Right. Set your advice, criticism, and questions aside. That's so difficult to do, especially for men, because we're always trying to solve a problem. Right. Like legit advice, criticism, questions to it. Right. Set it aside. It's not about you. It's not about you right now. It's about that person that's speaking and you're listening. Listen with empathy, right? Pay attention to what they're saying and how they may be saying it, right? Through their body language, even. The body language will tell you a lot about the individual and, how they're feeling, what they're thinking, and some of the things that, may actually help you out when communicating, right? When communicating effectively or when gaining understanding on them, paying attention to what they're saying through their body language, smiling, hands crossed, right? Folded, whatever, right? Hands on the hips, whatever it might be, just really paying attention to what they're saying and how they're saying it through their body language. And then another portion of that is just place yourself in their shoes, right? Place yourself in those shoes, right? Place yourself in their shoes. Like just stop for a second and just think, while listening with empathy, place yourself in their shoes. I know it's tough. Nobody wants to do that, right? Especially when you're focused. You're like, I got a lot of stuff that I need to do already. Why am I placing myself in another person's shoes? Whatever the case may be, right? But so that's show that you listen with empathy. Then the last one is give appreciations, right? As often as possible. Get caught doing good. I like to say this. Get caught doing good, right? Or what might be satisfying to you, right? And then tell them about it. Give them recognition out loud because I know you want it. I know I want it. I know I want affirmation. I want recognition of what I'm doing. And even if that person doesn't have that love language, so to speak, right? Give it to them anyway. That's just showing appreciation, reminding them about their qualities, character qualities, right? That you appreciate and that you see in them. Right. Another portion of, kind of giving appreciations is don't give a lot of fluff, right? Like, don't be ingenuine, like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I just really want to. No. You don't have to be crazy deep. You don't have to be dramatic, right? But simple recognition of strength in and outside of the relationship. Just keep it positive, right? Just legit. Keep it positive. A buddy of mine, Eric Cho, shout out to you, man. He would always tell me like, hey, bro, like in relationships and leadership, right? We got to make deposits. As in a relationship, you're leading that person based on how you want to be led, right? Make the deposits so that when you make challenges, they balance out like a bank account, right? Like, so you want to make a lot of deposits. You want your deposit to be high, right? You want to put in to be order to take out, right? Don't get caught with insufficient funds. I'm just saying, don't get caught with insufficient funds in your relationships. Make sure that you're pouring into, right? Pouring into giving those, those jewels, those gems, those moments of clarity of who they are, who you believe that they are, and who you want them to grow to be even inside of your relationship. So that's it right there, ladies and gentlemen. 5 ways to be effective in communication, as well as, so we're talking about listening to yourself. Number 1, becoming a safe listener, showing that you listen with empathy. Got a lot to do with listening. I'm telling you, this relationship thing, right? Giving appreciations as often as possible. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast right here was brought to you by Mac Media Empire's Creatives Club. Mac Media Empire is a marketing and branding media company located in Atlanta, Georgia. We specialize in digital marketing, content creation, and management. They're looking for aspiring talent, choreographers, models, actors, writers, directors, etc., to join their nonprofit organization, the Creatives Club. So submit an application today and join their community and network of creatives, right? Let's create together. Also, huge shout out to Shop Confidence Apparel. Check them out, shop.confidence on IG. And also make sure that you check out the Creatives Club. That's brought to you by Mac Media Empire's Creative Club. Boy, it's your boy, your favorite host and MC, Ronell Blackman. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode talking about effective communication, effective ways to communicate with your partner. You may have recognized some of those negatives, some of those lacks But we just gave you guys 5 effective ways that you can take forward and communicate with your partner. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed yourself, because this right here was another episode of the Holla Black podcast. Make sure that you share, like, and subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss a podcast. We don't want you to miss any recording that we put out there, because we want this for you. We want to build community through conversations, and we want to continue to encourage everyone to be better today than they were yesterday. Holla Black at your boy. Peace.